3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Queen Stage. We're here to spotlight the athletes, stories, and action in women's cycling, giving the sport the attention it deserves. And we're going to do so with the quality, depth, and personality the sport demands.
I'm Rosael Torres Davis.
I'm Betsy Welch.
I'm Anna Maria Rook.
And I'm Molly Herford.
Hello and welcome to the Queen Stage podcast. I'm your host, Betsy, and today I'm joined by Rook and Rosael.
We are nearing the halfway point of this race, and the fun is only just beginning. Today we had our first individual time trial of the Tour, also the only. And it was only the third individual time trial in the past 5 editions of this race. The last time we saw this event, the time trial, was in 2024, but that year it was only 6.3 kilometers long, and today it was quite a different event.
Yeah, it was still on the shorter side for time trials at 21 kilometers long, and that ended up taking riders about just under half an hour. With 255 meters of climbing. So it wasn't like totally straightforward. However, we did see time trialists dominate. Yeah, and it ended up being more interesting than I thought. I have a lot of regrets about my predictions yesterday.
Also in 2024, it should be noted that it was on the double day. Remember how they had 2 stages in one day?
Right.
So it was just a really convoluted day. And today they got to just focus on this one discipline. And we got quite the show.
Yes, as we have been every day. Before we get into how it played out, we just want to give a huge thank you to our presenting sponsors for the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift. They are Bike Tires Direct and SRAM. We love working with our sponsors. We love their enthusiasm and support of women's cycling and their support of coverage of women's cycling, which is what allows us to bring this podcast to you.
And if you haven't already, hit subscribe, leave us a review, and send us your questions to info@queenstage.cc or find us at queenstage.cc on Instagram and Threads. We also have a very lively and interesting WhatsApp group. You can find the link to join us in our Instagram bio.
Yeah, and do not forget that we are doing a Musette giveaway every day until Sunday. This giveaway is brought to you by Zwift and Bike Tires Direct, that is. And it includes 2 Bike Tires Direct bottles, a Zwift, Watch the Femmes Musette, and the cycling cap. Sorry, no love included. You have to create that yourself. We also have some fun stickers, a pocket-sized electric bike pump, and a rain wallet. So yesterday's Musette winner goes by the Instagram handle of @cat.bike.run. Congratulations, Cat Bike Run, and thank you for participating.
To enter today's What's in Your Musette giveaway, it's very simple. Head to our Instagram @queenstage.cc, find today's highlights post, comment Bike Tires Direct, and tag 2 friends. That's it.
And you can save 10% at biketiresdirect.com with code QueenStage, all one word, which directly supports the show.
I wasn't here yesterday, so ladies, please catch me up on what I missed.
Yes, stage 3 ended up being a very bumpy stage that took the peloton for 157 kilometers from Geneva to Poligny. And it had the toughest climb that the peloton has faced so far, with the Col de la Facile coming in very early in the stage and hitting the peloton hard. And we lost a lot of, sprinters and riders who were just struggling. So it really strung out the peloton in the Jura Mountains, where we had a group of riders go clear. And Unio X Mobility's Sigrid Hogset launched a solo move that turned into one of the most electric rides we've seen in the Tour. She soloed for 88 kilometers, the longest solo win in Tour history. Meanwhile, Lotte Kopecky was chasing really hard, and she got within 10 seconds later on, but just couldn't close the gap. Hogset held on and took the win by 1 minute, 24 seconds. So Kopecky ended up crossing the finish line in 2nd place. Mariana Vos was 3rd place, with Ostolasa Zabala and Kim Lecourt-Pinar rounding out the top 5. That win basically put Hogset in yellow with 2 minutes up Kim Lecourt, with Demi Vollering 4 seconds further back in 3rd. So we did see some DC changes there. And for the other jerseys, Pog Peters ended up grabbing the polka dot jersey. Lorena Wiebes held on to the green jersey, and Paula Blasi stayed in the white jersey heading into today's time trial.
Yeah, it was quite a stage. I mean, I wasn't on the podcast, but I did watch it. And for a rider who was chosen to be a domestique in the mountains, that was a bit of a surprise for all of us. I think the peloton did not expect such a strong solo. I'm pretty sure they expected to get her back. And what a wonderful ride for such a fairly new rider in the sport.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was still really fun to look at all of the commentary and comments and posts about it today. And
Yeah.
then to see her take off in the time trial, like knowing that she was probably cooked, just to see her in yellow and more chills this morning.
Yeah. And
That's
we
right.
later learned that it was her father's birthday yesterday.
Amazing.
So it
Aw.
was just really beautiful in many ways. And her family was there. And there was a video on Instagram, one of the reels of her mom leading one of the row trains
I did see
that
that.
the
Yeah,
Norwegians like to do. And they did a pretty good job at it.
it was great.
Rook, tell us what happened today.
Yeah, today, as we mentioned, was time trial day, which not everyone likes, but I think today showed just how important a time trial can be for the GC, or rather the impact it can have, good and bad, depending on who you are. So on the docket today was a 21-kilometer challenge from the famous wine village of Gevrey-Chambertin to the heart of Dijon. It was far from flat. There was a fast opening through the town and its famous vineyards, and then riders tackled a decisive 1.8-kilometer climb with an average gradient of 6.9%. But I think what was more decisive was actually the descent that followed. There was a very long and twisty descent and some rollers into Dijon, and that was perhaps, in my opinion, the defining moment, which unfortunately we didn't get to see a lot of on the coverage.
Yeah, why was that? Was it just that the motos couldn't like safely keep up to show us that coverage?
I have no idea. I do
Okay.
wish we had seen it, because I think
Yes.
that's where riders made up time, earned their negative splits, and conversely lost the race.
Mm-hmm.
Lieke Nooijen, the Dutch rider from Visma Lease, set the first benchmark of the day, storming into the hot seat with a ride that looked pretty much untouchable for most of the afternoon. It was only time trial champion Marlen Reusser who was able to come close to that Dutch woman's time. Reusser was 20 seconds ahead in the intermediate split. And again, this showed just how defining that descent was, because she beat Nooijen's time at the line, but only by 4 seconds, which means she lost time on that descent, whereas Lieke Nooijen must have had one ripping descent. Following this battle was a bit of a GC battle going on, riders trying to minimize the damage that Marlen Reusser was inevitably going to do. And I'd say Demi Vollering did a very good job keeping herself competitive in the GC. The biggest casualty of the day was Pauline Ferrand-Prévot. She just lost more than 2 minutes on Marlen Reusser. And I guess that's the biggest story today, is that she's sitting in 14th place in the GC at the moment, 2 minutes and 13 seconds down. What do y'all think?
I think we're going to get to her, because I just want to talk about PFP in general a little bit. Anyway, Rosael, do you have a
No,
thoughts?
I am. I was shocked also because she has looked so confident and with all this air of mystery. And, as they were both, Marlen Reusser and PFP, were sitting waiting for their turn to start their time trial. And we saw this beautiful moment of a butterfly, which is the second time a butterfly shows up on a day for PFP on camera. And she was very calm. Meanwhile, Marlen Reusser was being a little bit more fidgety. And, sometimes you can take that as a negative, like, oh, maybe like she's nervous and she's like wasting energy being anxious before then. But then we saw that the results said a different story. So very interesting. But yeah, we can talk more about PFP later.
All right, let's get into the standings real quick. For today's stage, we had Marlen Reusser winning on the day, followed just 4 seconds behind by Lieke Nooijen from Visma Lease. Demi Vollering was third, Zoe Bäckstedt was fourth, and Mischa Bredewold was fifth. I do have to give a shout out to my dark horse, Christian Falkner, for coming in sixth. I went out on a limb in picking her yesterday. And hey, she did pretty well. The GC really got shaken up today. So I'm going to just quickly run through the top 10 because I think it's important to show like exactly what happened and who's up there now. Marlen Reusser comes into the yellow jersey, Demi Vollering into second, Sindrine Kerbal in third, Sigrid Haugset, our favorite Norwegian, is still up there in fourth, Elisa Longo Borghini in fifth, Kasia Niewiadoma Finney sixth, Paula Blasi jumps up to seventh, Anna van der Breggen in eighth, Antonia Niedermeyer ninth, Femke de Vries in 10th, and Pauline is in 14th right now, 2 minutes and 13 seconds back.
Look at that GC. Like Visma Lease bike is sitting in 10th with a rider who's not going to be their GC rider.
On?
What a shakeup today.
Complete shakeup. The jerseys stay the same with Puck, Peter Sting in polka dots, and Wiebes keeping the green, and Paula Blasi with the Young Riders jersey.
And before we forget, the tire of today was the Continental Grand Prix 5000 TT tire. Technically, it's the tubeless ready TT tire in the front and a GP 5000 tire in the rear. It's a aerodynamic tire that is specifically designed to catch the wind in the front with a different tire in the rear. It's becoming a more popular option for many riders here in time trials, where they run a very specific aerodynamic tire in the front and a different tire in the rear. In mountain biking, we would call that a mullet setup. I don't think that's a thing in road riding yet, but it may just become a thing.
Yes. And that was probably a 28.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we have Conti winning 2 stages and Specialized winning 2 stages.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
BikeTiresDirect.com with code QueenStage.
That's right.
10% discount.
Now, can we go back and talk a little bit about what do you do if you're a Visma Lease bike? Like, will they be able to make up 2 minutes and 13 seconds?
I mean,
for
with all the
Pauline?
climbing that we have ahead and just seeing how crazy those gaps can get when they reach the true mountains, it is possible. But the thing is, like, Demi Vollering looked so good today.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Betsy?
Well, I just think, this is bringing us back to our Pauline conversation. Like, what's going on with her? Because I think initially this sort of like shrouded in mystery thing meant like, oh God, she is like probably on fire and watch out. Like you said, Rosael, maybe she still is. We just haven't seen it yet because she is such a mountain climber. Like,
yeah. But Betsy, that's the thing with mystery. It could be either way, right? And unfortunately,
I don't know.
But how
worked today though, didn't she? She looked so worked at the finish.
So that was the banter in the WhatsApp chat too. Was not just like that she looked worked at the finish, but like, did she look kind of whack on the bike? Like,
I mean, that was a wild fit. The stack on that bike. I mean, don't get me wrong. They've
really
tested
wobbly.
the crap out of it. Yeah, but they've
she
tested
really wobbly.
everything. You got to keep in mind, like, we're like, oh, you should get a bike fit. You know, I don't want to be one of those people. Like, they tested. They've been to the wind tunnel with her. Her fit is dialed for her.
Right.
And still, as you were saying, Rosael, she was wobbly. She just looked uncomfortable. And then, especially since they were panning from her to Marlen Reusser and back, like Marlen Reusser, I could have put my coffee cup on her back and I wouldn't have spilled a drop. And Pauline was...
I think your baby could have taken a nap on Marlen Reusser's back, right? A 30-minute nap.
And I wouldn't have put her anywhere near Pauline's. That's
27 minutes.
Well, and, to be fair, is time trial is the one world championship she has not won. So, hey, we can't all be great at everything.
Yeah. I guess, did you see what was her body language or her interactions with her staff after she crossed the finish line? Did she look like very disappointed? Was this kind of expected?
I mean, as you're saying, Betsy, she's not a time trialist. Like, this is not her specialty, and
Never
long
has
gone
been.
Are the times where a Marianne Vos can win a time trial, right? Marianne Vos was what, 60 something? Like, back in the day, a strong rider could just do about anything. And as we talked about this on 2 episodes ago, there's now specialties, very distinct specialties. And Marlen Reusser is a specialist in the time trial. So beating her is extremely tough. Pauline knew that she was going to have a big challenge ahead of her. She knows how important this stage is. You can tell, like, she's worked on it. Like, they've spent a significant amount of time on her for this specific stage, and it still fell flat for her. And so Is she disappointed? 100%. Like, I don't think she managed or imagined she would lose 2 minutes. But I also think she knew that this was going to be a long shot.
Yeah, and so we have 5 stages left, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
You know, and it's not just like the Ventoux stage. These next 2 are quite hilly, quite climby. That said, I don't know that PFP loves like the short, punchy stuff, but there are a few significant climbs. I mean, I certainly am not writing her off, but
No, I mean, you can't write her off, but at the same time, today was
yeah,
Whoa.
almost
Tough
2 and
day
a
for
half
Visma
minutes.
Lease bike. With that said, I will say I want to give a shout out to Lieke Nooijen because she's such a strong rider, and we don't talk about her enough because she's on a team where she gets outshined by these other Marianne Vos, Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, and I think if she was on a different team, she may have been a leader because we've been talking about her throughout the season because she has had very strong performances. She's the Dutch national road champion. Today, she was so fast. Only Marlen Reusser could beat her by 4 seconds. So she's definitely a rider to keep an eye on.
Yeah, that was cool to see. And she was, she was visibly really disappointed like to be beat. I think, of course, being beat by Marlen Reusser is one thing, but I think, she kind of thought she had it.
For most of the day, she did.
She did.
And also, in general, a lot of riders were able to make up a lot of places in the GC. We saw Anna van der Breggen make up 10 spots. Antonia Niedermeyer took up 7. Femke de Vries, 16. But then more other GC riders. Let's see. Marlen Reusser made up 10 spots. And Paula Blasi had made up 6 spots, and now she's in 7th place. So she's closer to maybe getting into the GC game.
Speaking of the GC game, what do we think about Marlen Reusser?
She's a big question mark, right?
Yeah, they were asking it in the WhatsApp as well. Like, maybe we can talk about that now. How would Marlen Reusser fare in the mountains as a time trial specialist?
Well, she's done really well at the Giro in the past. So let's not, she's a time trialist, but that power also goes uphill. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think we can leave her name in, like that question mark box of GC contenders. Speaking of uphill and time trialing, how hard is it to go uphill in a time trial on a time trial bike? How much of a benefit is being like a really good time trialist in the mountains? I don't know. I always said if I was a bike racer, I would be a time trialist who likes to climb because that's what I
Emma
like.
Pooley.
Yeah, just like being by myself and going uphill. Yeah.
I think I'd rather go uphill on a time trial bike than downhill. That's for sure.
Yes.
As you saw today with Demi giving that ripping performance on the descent. Oof.
Yeah. Should we answer that question that was posted in the WhatsApp group about how hard it is
Sorry, I jumped ahead.
Yeah, they were asking in the WhatsApp how hard it is to climb or descend on a TT bike. And I personally can't say from experience, but Rook, have you ever done TTs on a TT bike?
Yeah, definitely have.
Can you describe how it feels when you're climbing and descending?
It's far less comfortable than your normal setup. Things have changed a lot back since I was racing. Like the stack height has gone way up. You're now actually, almost at the same level as your hips, whereas back in the day it was like this super aggressive forward slanted position, which was definitely not comfortable. But even as we saw today, like your arms are so narrow, like it's not a very natural position to be in. And as I was just joking, it is more comfortable going uphill when you're controlled and you're steady than on the downhill where you have far less control over your bike and how it's going to handle. It's a real skill to see Demi descend as she did. You see oftentimes riders will take their hands out of the TT bars and get low to have a little bit more power, like to get out of the saddle to sprint or to corner. On a race like this, the aero position makes a tremendous difference, which is why you didn't see any Eddie Merckx setups. On different time trials that we've seen that are more punchy, that's where the question comes in, like what bike do you ride? Because handling takes the priority rather than aerodynamics. So it is very difficult. It is not something that if they you can't pull off a very good time trial if you're never spending time in that position. And I don't know if you have been paying attention, but for a lot of the cool down and warm ups so far in this race, the riders have been just getting comfortable with the TT position. Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, for example, has been doing all her cool downs and maybe warm ups as well in that position, just to teach the body that this is where you want to be. So it is very much a taught, not natural position. And most riders will be really happy to get back to their regular bike tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe Pauline just hates it. Like, she just hates it.
Could be.
You know?
And it was, I will say, like, again, it was such an awkward looking position. So tall in the front, so narrow, and especially someone who's a mountain biker, right? Who's used to like wide bars wider than her shoulder to go so inward. That's going to take a lot of getting used to.
Could it be? I don't know. You know, she did have that femoral, like, or that iliac artery stuff. Like, maybe there's some scar tissue. Maybe like physically that position is hard for her to get into.
Who knows?
We do not know. Speaking of positioning and aerodynamics, do we want to briefly address
Boobgate, Bragate?
Yeah, I don't know, whatever. Yeah, just call it what everyone is calling it apparently, because including Fox News. I was just telling Rosael, like, I tend to not want to give any clicks or attention to stuff like this, and so I didn't go hunting down mainstream media headlines, but apparently it went there.
This is what it takes for mainstream media to pay attention to women's sports. Ugh, I hate that. Also, like, and I'm going to be very unpopular in my opinion, but like, we've been seeing this in the men's side. You know, they've been controlling jackets and bladders and anything here, and when it comes to women and breasts, suddenly it's just like this weird, uncomfortable, controversial sexual thing. Like, why do we go there? This is part of our body. It's something we have to contend with while racing. Like, yeah, we wear bras. And I understand that, like, it's something that's difficult to control because there's different, you know, people have different bodies. But I don't know why we suddenly go and make this such a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that the news cycle and the social media cycle nowadays, they feed off just getting on people's nerves, you know, and like just getting a very emotional reaction, was basically, I'm just saying, like, sensationalism, right? They just want to, like, because it drives clicks, it drives engagement. That's where clickbait comes from. And even though the story could be super educational or whatever, sometimes the headline is going to be like the most tantalizing headline out there. But yeah, no, there seems to be like an over sexualization of like any like woman's like controversies in the peloton. And the angle which is being shown, it doesn't do fairness to the great racing that's happening.
Right. It's one thing to like be like, oh, you know, UCI, dumb rules, sock height, etc. And like, yeah, in a sense, this is, like you said, Rook, like, this has come up in the men's racing. So it's not like it was an invented thing. Like, it is a thing, but it's the sexualization of it. It's the salaciousness,
Listen,
the
it's basically the definition of porno, if you think about it, the exploitation of something. Like, this has overshadowed the helmets that people have been making fun of for the last 3 years, like the Visma Lease bike helmets, you know? That used to be the meme. Now this is the new meme replacing that.
I don't want to be like, I don't want to ignore the sensitivities that people have around, you know, others touching their body. So when it comes to the pat downs and the checks, like they're kind of coming up with this on the fly. So there's not an extensive protocol. No one has asked these riders like, hey, what are you comfortable with? Are you okay with someone, you know, patting you down? But at the same time, it's not that much different than going through the airport.
Do you guys remember, I know I'm older than everyone, but like scoliosis checks in elementary school? Like, we had this thing where you'd like have to go in the office with the gym teacher or the nurse and like take your shirt off, and they'd like check your back for scoliosis. And it was kind of traumatic for like young girls, prepubescent, going through puberty. And this is kind of what this is making me feel like too, is kind of like that. But yeah, I hope this goes away like ASAP. at least the headlines and the attention, because as we know with social media and media these days, just like add fuel to the fire, and it opens up the floodgates for like very unsavory characters with unsavory comments to come out. We don't need distractions from the racing. Like that again undermines women's racing. It sucks. It takes the attention far from where it should be. So yeah, I hope maybe this is the last time we talk about it too, to be honest.
Yeah, no, well said.
What else? Oh, should we talk about a question from our WhatsApp group?
Let's do it.
Sure. Let's see. Somebody posted a question about altitude training versus heat
Right.
training. Like, what should riders be prioritizing right now, given climate change, etc. And we got really lucky because a few minutes ago, Heidi Franz hopped into the chat and helped answer this question a little bit. And I'm
Awesome.
just going to read directly what she had to say. Heidi Franz says, we did so much heat training the last month. We are putting a huge emphasis on cooling during the whole day in our team. We're using core temp pills to keep track every day during the night and during the stages. During the TT warm-up, we had new ice towels put on us every 2 minutes, just constant dunking into the coolers. One of the riders in our team yesterday reached a core temperature of roughly 40 Celsius for almost 40 minutes. It's insane. I think monitoring core temperature is going to be so important in these ever-increasing temps. I think right now, if you aren't heat trained, it nullifies altitude training, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, that came up too in reference to Francie Koch. I know we were kind of joking about losing time on purpose, but her body was just in shock on stage one with the heat. Core temperature was too high, heart rate was too high. Her body didn't respond well to that heat at all. And a core temperature of 40 degrees Celsius, that is alarming.
Yeah, that's really hot. Do you guys is this a one or the other type thing? Do you think athletes need to be doing both altitude training and heat training?
100%. I think we've been talking in recent months a lot in the cycling world about heat training in terms of performance benefits. You know, you see those crazy suits that they're wearing, like almost hazmat suits while on the trainer, and they do that because it benefits their muscular performance. But from just being able to cope with this heat angle, that's becoming incredibly important, and climate change is real, and it's not going to get any better. We saw that Tadej Pogačar was joking about moving the Tour de France to October or somewhere in the fall to combat this heat. That seems unlikely, so the only way riders can cope with this heat is to do heat training. And I think, as you were saying, Betsy, it's not one or the other. You have to do both.
Yeah. And I would like to think that maybe companies like Red Bull, who now are investing a lot of money in the women's peloton, are using, their labs and all their scientists and nutritionists to figure out what is the best way to combine both. Like, is it possible, or is it detrimental if you do like heat training the same week you're doing altitude training? I don't know, like coaches and all kinds of people need to put their heads together to figure out what is the best timing to do each.
100%
to get the maximum
that's happening
out of it. I'm picturing a lab in Austria. Yeah.
My question for you too is, do we need to have an inclement weather policy that addresses heat like this? Like, not just the roads. Like, it's one thing to put that white stuff on the roads to cool the roads down, but what about the riders' well-being? Is there a temperature that is just too much for
I think
this event to take place?
I think the UCI should have better protocol that reflects the dangers of riding in this weather today, and with what we know and what we've seen, and also just how concurrent it's been, the shortening of stages. And a lot of the time the UCI leaves it up to like the town authorities or the French authorities or national authorities of whatever Grand Tour is going on, to make the decision for them. So they're kind of maybe like, what do you call that? Like inflecting the responsibility.
Skew it,
But,
yeah.
I mean, we're living a similar situation here in the Western United States with wildfires, and races are often canceled due to high air quality indexes. And I feel like temperature is the same. You
Yeah.
know, there has to be a threshold at which it is unsafe or unsuitable to be doing like these high exertion activities. And what that threshold is, I don't know. I mean, that could have, if it was like, 95 degrees Fahrenheit, like how many stages of the men's tour would have been
Cancelled.
called
Yeah.
off?
Well, but I think we have now, with so many tours having happened in extreme weather conditions, we should have enough data to make decisions like this, I would think. It's just seems silly to me how we can't see also the benefits of shortening stages and rethinking these things. Like, couldn't the UCI and every team and everybody save a lot of money by having like shorter transfers and doing a lot of things that are not only good for the environment, but good for the riders, and like just like allows you to operate at a better budget, or put that money into something else like more safety or whatever it is.
Maybe. I mean, having raced in like 104, 105 degrees at a criterium even, which is 50 minutes to an hour, even that was very uncomfortable. A lot of people getting nosebleeds and vomiting and things like that because the bodies were in a shock, and you're pushing it to the max. So there's that balance there, right? If you cut it shorter, people go harder, which just accelerates your core temperature and everything else, the detrimental impact, but it's less long. So yeah, I would have to see some studies on that to see what actually benefits the riders, but maybe starting it earlier in the day or later in the day, or work with the problems that the world is facing. This is not a sporting problem. This is a global problem. So
do we know how the start times of the stages are chosen? Are they going for a time where they get the most TV views,
It
like
must
worldwide?
be, because I think it was like 2:30 p.m. France time.
Like the
the day
hottest time
stage
of the day.
started.
So
The
everybody
worst.
had lunch,
The
and now they're
worst.
taking like a long break after lunch and watching the race coffee shops.
Yeah,
and
I
stuff
mean, they're
like that.
balancing TV viewership, right? It's a commercial product, so you want people tuning in, but they're also balancing local traffic, Like, you're not going to host it and close everything down during rush hour if you can avoid it.
That is
So
true.
they're balancing a number of things. But yeah, if they started this morning at 8, no one likes to get up that early, sure, but the temperatures would have been a lot more doable.
I feel sad right now about this conversation. No, because it's like we might be heading towards a future in which like we don't get sports. We don't get
100%.
these things anymore because of climate change. And so, I just feel like at some point these are going to be putting Band-Aids on a gaping wound. That's a bigger topic for
Yeah.
not
and the
this
thing
podcast,
is that
but
But
with
it's not
climate
an
change,
unreal concern. I think this is a tangible way that a lot of people are being faced with global climate change. Like, it's not just like polar bears and ice caps. This is your everyday life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and with climate change also, like the worse it gets, the more unpredictable it becomes. So like,
Right.
yeah, like you may not be prepared. Like a lot of things will surprise you. Like you may see mudslides or places where you've never seen them before, and that town has never seen that kind of event happen, so they're not ready for it, etc.
Rook, why don't you do a deep dive on a rider we might not know much about?
Great. I think I'm just going to talk about Lieke Nooijen. She was in the hot seat for most of the day, so let's get to know her a little bit. So Lieke Nooijen is a 25-year-old rider from Helmond, the Netherlands, and she races for Team Visma Lease, which is only her second team after riding for Park Valkenburg. And she actually comes from a long background of riding. She's originally from a dairy farm family. Fun fact. We've got Demi with the flowers, Lieke Nooijen with the dairy. She started riding very early on. In fact, like I found some stories about her riding 20-kilometer loops when she was just 3 years old, their grandma.
Oh my God.
She got her first actual road bike when she was 7, and it was a hand-me-down from her uncle. And every Sunday she would ride 6 kilometers with her dad's group, little club, and she would begin with the group and then turn around and go home, which I can only hope that my daughter will do something like that when she's old enough.
Yeah.
In 2019, she won the bronze at the Junior Road Race World Championships, and she turned professional with Park Hotel Valkenburg in 2021. She claimed her first UCI victory in 2023, and then earned herself a ticket on to the Visma Lease team. She's been very strong on the time trial. As I mentioned, she was a second place at the National Dutch Time Trial Championships, and only she looked surprised to get beaten today. We didn't pick her for our long list for today's stage, but Marlen Reusser was able to beat her by only 4 seconds. And Betsy, as you said, she looked genuinely disappointed. She knew she had it in her, even though we may not have known her strength. She's still coming back from a bit of an injury. She suffered a broken vertebrae in early 2025 and has been returning to full strength ever since then. So that's all to say, we've got a lot more looking forward to and more great things coming from Lieke Nooijen.
Pretty cool. Thank you, Rook. Can you give us a tutorial on how to say her name, but say it slower, please? Just so we can learn.
Lieke?
Again?
Lieke?
Lieke?
Like, think about leek, like something like the vegetable.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lieke Nooijen.
Lieke Nooijen. Very
Love
good. Thank
the
you, Rook.
Dutch names.
Mm-hmm.
It was interesting hearing the commentators and the different interpretations of her name, or pronunciations of her name, rather. Yeah.
Oh my God. You should see the transcripts of this podcast that I have to correct after each recording. Like, it's wild what the transcript, the computer hears. Anyway, Betsy.
Well, speaking of not pronouncing things correctly, God, I wish I could speak French. It's just, I speak Spanish fluently and I thought, oh, French, no big deal. It is a big deal. It's very hard to pronounce things. Tomorrow's stage 5, will take us from, oh my God, Rook, will you just say the places?
Hold on.
Mâcon, Belleville in Beaujolais.
Yeah.
How's
Mâcon, Belleville en Beaujolais.
Okay. That's where we're starting, and that's where we're going tomorrow. It is a 140 kilometer, which is 87 mile stage with quite a bit of vertical gain. 2,850 meters, which shakes out to roughly 9,350 feet. Quite climby. If you look at the profile, it looks like a saw blade. There are not any flat sections. It's officially called a hilly stage, but I think that sort of underplays exactly how hilly it is. It'll be the first time we've seen a grade of over 9%. That's on one of the climbs toward the end of the day. So what's going to happen? Well, like we mentioned earlier, I think we will probably see some more GC movement here. I don't think these riders can wait till Ventoux to win this race. So tomorrow's stage and the following, I think, are very important. We could see a breakaway battle for Queen of the Mountain points. And then, the question will be, will the peloton be motivated to bring breakaways back? I'm hoping for some really spicy attacks on these climbs.
And if you're a Visma Lease bike, you're gonna want to make up
that
2 minutes. In fact, most of the GC, I'm expecting to see the big teams put on quite the show tomorrow, both in controlling it, but also in trying to shake it up and gain some seconds, because it is. Tomorrow's profile looks actually really, really tough, especially if it's going to be another hot day. I believe we have some rain in the forecast in Dijon tonight, so that is good. But my goodness, tomorrow's stage looks really, really tough.
So, Rook, what do you do if you're a Visma Lease bike and let's do 2 scenarios? Like PFP wakes up feeling amazing and PFP wakes up feeling like so-so.
Well, the latter.
What is a tactic?
If she feels up if she wakes up feeling so-so, the team is going to be called upon all day. They're going to have to control. They're going to have to make sure that the other GC favorites don't get ahead. In fact, when she's sitting so far down, they are going to have to respond to everything because so many, just about every team is sitting ahead of Pauline at this point. So, either way, it's going to be a big, big day for the team to control things, to respond to breaks and make sure that they represent it. If she's feeling fantastic tomorrow morning, then I'd say offense is the best defense, send her up the road. Send her. There's enough. There are a lot of climbs,
Yeah.
Yes, there's a lot of climbs. I was actually looking at that and counting. Let me just show you real quick, because there were 3 category 2 climbs, 2 category 3, And then the other 3 are category
Category
4
4.
climbs. So no Cat 1 climbs or above category, but still like pretty attritional.
Yeah, I mean, for Americans, this is well over 9,000 feet of climbing.
Yeah, this is
and
big.
and in less than 90 miles, so it's more than a 1:100 golden ratio. So it's going to be a tough day. And then
Sorry, Rook, who's good at this? Like, this is a very distinct profile, in my opinion. This isn't
Mhm.
like a huge mountain climb, even a few huge mountain climbs. This is shorter, steeper, punchier, sort of like relentless, like not a lot of time to recover in between these. Who is really good at this type of riding?
Hook Pieterse.
Pieterse,
Arne van der Breggen. You know, I'm thinking Ardennes at this point, you know?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
one-day races, except this is way longer and a bit more atrocious. But keep
Yeah.
in mind that the racing thus far has been extremely atrocious because of the weather, because of the distances. So people are not feeling fresh. And
No.
it's very, very different than a one-day race. But yeah, I'm curious to see what Anne van der Breggen can do. Lotte
Mhm.
Kopecky would have been great, but wonder how much she hasn't left after that long solo yesterday. Yeah, who else would I be looking at? Someone like Céline Cabal, like someone who can is good at punchy climbs, can descend well
Can
to
descend, yeah.
recover, because you
Yep.
do need to use the descents both to gain time, but also to recover from what
Yeah.
you just came from.
But
If you're
don't
white
you
knuckling
think-
descents, you're just wasting your energy.
But don't you think with stages 6 and 7 also being pretty damn climby and hard as mountain stages, that maybe tomorrow, after seeing today and just seeing the last few days how attritional they have been, maybe the GC riders will try to take it a little easier and let a break go. And maybe I'm looking at riders who have more than 4 minutes down to jump on the break, or maybe take safer and be like 6-minute downs. Like we have let's see, Magdalene Valieres, Marian Buñuel, Silvia Persico, Lucinda Brand, like maybe let riders like that go for.
Yeah, I mean, the car will be called an action a lot today. They'll be crunching the numbers. They'll be looking at who can we let go, who can't we let go. But a team, like I said, like Visma Lease bike is going to be, they're going to have to bring a lot of that back.
Yeah.
If they want to minimize the damage. Like today was such, I can't overstate how much of a downer today was for that team. Like they're looking at like the next couple stages, like how do we minimize the damage in order for Pauline to do what she does best, which will be climbing, unless they know something that we don't know.
Right.
Going back to your mystery, Betsy,
Yeah.
like if she is feeling phenomenal, if she didn't give it everything today, and they know that she's just going to go en avant too, then great. Then they
Right.
can just ride out the next couple stages,
Right.
knowing she can make the 2 minutes up in the mountains. However, I should say that something that's in the back of my mind is that what happens if Ventoux gets canceled? Because that is still up in there. The race organizers were encouraged by officials or by the local organizations to look at alternate routes in case of wildfires. So, I mean, that would just implode this whole race.
Certainly would. And it would go to show that you cannot put all your eggs in any one stage basket.
100%.
You know what I would like to see tomorrow? My dream stage tomorrow would be if one of the riders who are lower in the GC but still have potential to enter the race for the GC to attack tomorrow. And Paula Blasi could be a very good one because it puts a pressure on every other team, and Elisa Longoborghini can just hang back and be like, well, maybe they'll be super motivated and like go after her, and that her team can just like chill all day, or Paula Blasi could get away with it and also put another damper into the GC.
I almost mentioned her name, and then I was like, Rosael is going to bring it up. So
No, I was just looking like it would be fun. Also, like if Cedrine Corral also like maybe they don't take her that seriously, but they should.
Well, the question is, what is happening with that team and what's happening with Blasi? Can she ride for herself? Is she, there's been interviews saying that she is riding for herself. She gets no support. There's others saying, well, she's riding in duty of someone else. So like there's this huge question mark around her. And to be honest, I expected her to have a better time trial. Isn't she? She comes from a triathlon background.
I mean, she did made up some spaces, but I think this is something that UAE can use to their advantage. To be honest, Elisa Longoborghini has been very good all season, but she's had some downs that doesn't show what do you call it? Just consistency. So it's hard to completely put, all my money or all my chips on that side when we have Paula Blasi, who has been so fired up. However, Elisa Longoborghini is ahead of Paula Blasi just by 2 spots in the GC.
Free Paula.
That has been so funny watching
So
those
good.
signs on the side of the road.
Okay, ladies, should we wrap it up on stage 4? All right, that's a wrap on stage 4 here at Queen Stage. Thank you again to our presenting sponsors, Bike Tires Direct and SRAM, for making this daily coverage possible.
Don't miss today's giveaway. Comment Bike Tires Direct and tag 2 friends on the Stage 4 highlight post on Instagram before the end of tomorrow's Stage 5. Plus, don't forget about a 10% discount when you go to biketiresdirect.com. Queen Stage, all lowercase, all one word.
And make sure you're subscribed so today's recap lands right in your feed, and keep sending us your questions in the WhatsApp chat or via email at info@queenstage.cc. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.